But here's where I want to start. Specifically, my friend Jamie Kennedy's on the show today. From the Kennedy family, is there a more powerful last name in America, legacy-wise? Yes.
No?
No,
I don't know.
I don't think so. But
I'll humbly say
one of
no.
your more famous movies was a movie called Malibu's Most Wanted, right?
Malabizi Foshizi.
Faux Sheezy.
On the ones and threes.
You and Snoop, I would say, should take credit for the faux Sheezy lingo.
Snoop. That's Snoop.
That's Snoop? You're giving credit where credit's due?
Yeah, I was biting.
You were biting.
But
Okay.
that was Snoop.
But in this movie, if you guys aren't familiar with it, you play a guy called Brad Gluckman, a.k.a. B-Rad.
B-Rad G.
That's right, B-Rad G.
B-Rad G.
And in this movie, you're the son of a senator.
Yes.
There he is right there. Senator, it's in
Voice him out,
California.
Bill Gluckman just passed away. Ryan O'Neal, God bless his soul.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Sorry to hear that.
Legend. He's my pops.
So you're the son of a senator, privileged kid who basically wants to be a rapper.
Yes.
And you're, according to IMDb, fancies himself as a black rapper, even though you're,
What?
but
Caucasian.
you're just ahead of your time,
It
bro.
says that
you can
on-
identify as whatever you want.
It says that on IMDb. It says
Yes.
wow, okay.
It says fancies himself
They still left that.
to be black. He's kidnapped by a couple black actors pretending to be thugs and murderers, and they try to shock him out of his plans to become a rapper. Spoiler alert, it didn't work.
No.
You got flow.
No.
But where I'm going with this is, and it's on your hat, so it's like I couldn't set this up any better.
Right.
Your slogan was, "Don't be hating."
Yes.
Let me hear you say it one time, Jack.
Don't be hating.
There it was. So this segment is going to be called Don't Be Hating.
Wow.
There we go.
Nice.
So what I want to know from everyone on the panel, we'll start with you, Jamie, is, PBD, our fearless leader, CEO, wrote a book called Choose Your Enemies Wisely. It's actually good to have enemies. It's actually good to have haters. I mean, you're already making enemies before the show even started. Shout out to you. Emily and the enemies, there's something there right there.
Yep.
So I want to know, who do you hate? Who hates you the most? Who is your enemy? Choose wisely, guys. Jamie, who hates you? And who's hating on Jamie Kennedy, the great Jamie Kennedy? Who's hating? Don't be hating. Who's hating on you, or who do you hate back?
Well, listen, I'm going to try to be brief here because we've got a lot of great panelists. I'm going to say that hate's a strong word. I really don't hate anyone. I try not to hate. I think I wasn't ever a political person until I did that movie, Roe versus Wade.
Yep.
And then I'm not political. I believe I'm common sense. I know that's a thing to say now, but I really am. I try to look at everything from a common sense, lens. And,
As you should.
And I was cast by all these articles that I did, by, I guess, left-leaning articles telling me that I was this way and that way when I did this movie. So I hate hypocrisy. I will say that. And I don't want to say I hate hypocrites, but I don't love you. Like, some of the biggest complainers I think about, like, in LA right now, which is, California is the crown jewel of America, and it's tarnished right now. And a lot of people complaining. I have a question for you. Do you pay taxes? Do you own a home? Have you given back to the community? Have you part of the fabric of our great state of California? And it's like, no, a lot of people like to live off the nipple. And I think that a lot of people, there's a great saying that people, somebody said, it says, a lot of people want to go to heaven, but they don't want to die. And that means they want all the splurges of heaven, but they don't want to go through the windshield and suffer a terrible death. And that's what's going on in our world right now. A lot of people just want all these great things without understanding the stress and strife. Like, I'll stop, but I'm going to say, we're removing statues, I believe, of Thomas Jefferson in New York City. Okay, whatever you feel about him, he did help. Yes, there's bad things that he did, but there's also things that help push the country forward that we all live in. We are benefits of some of the stuff that he did. That was good, but yet that other senator is in trouble for cutting off the head of a satanic statue.
Yeah.
So that makes no sense to me.
Right.
That's psycho land. So
The senator that was in, I want to say Wisconsin?
I want to
What
say
city?
Iowa.
Iowa, somewhere in the breadbasket.
There was a
Shout out to
statue
the
of
Midwest.
Baphomet,
Yeah.
and they cuts off the head of that.
How dare you?
and he's going up
you
for
can
a
take
hate
down
crime.
Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson
Thomas
and Abraham
Jefferson's
Lincoln.
gone.
Yeah,
The irony.
kind of crazy. The hypocrisy is what you're talking about right there.
Weird.
So don't be hating.
Don't be hating.
Hypocrites out there. Emily, I mean, I don't know how long your list is, but
It's actually
who are your
short.
enemies? Who's hating on you? Who are you hating on?
So being 22, it's hard to have made so many enemies, but in the short-lived TV career I've had, apparently it's easier than I thought. I personally don't hate anyone, but that's a broad statement. Like, I hate terrorists and like Hamas and the Houthis.
What a shocking statement.
No,
Hating
but
terrorists.
but
Wow.
I hate.
I remember when that was a thing.
Right? Do you
Now
remember
Osama
when
bin
that
Laden's
was
the
a
good
thing?
guy, according to
That's
a lot
what
of
I'm
Gen
saying.
Z woke agenda.
So I quote unquote hate. I agree, hate's a strong word, but I do hate people who justify terrorism, and that goes as far as like Hamas sympathizers that are not in the Middle East, they're here in the United States. That goes to the TikTokers who are saying, well, bin Laden had a point to kill 3,000 Americans. No, he did not. That's outrageous. So anyone who can possibly think that way, I just happen to believe you're an evil person. There's no justifying a statement that way. And unfortunately, we've seen too many people thinking it's cool or funny to do that. So yeah, I guess I hate you, like those people. And who hates me? I hope nobody, but people who I guess like Hamas hate me because I've been very outspoken about my hatred towards them. And I don't think of them as freedom fighters. I think of them as cowards who murdered innocent civilians. And if you disagree with that, then I guess you hate me.
That's
But-
great. And I'm sure nobody's going to respond and nobody's going to have a comment on that. I'm sure you're not getting any online hate. And I'm sure that no one's going to give you any
they didn't
backlash
leak
for
my
that.
house address and my phone number.
Okay.
That never happened.
So they're doxing
Yeah.
our friend Emily. Okay. By the way, there was speaking of hate, you Chappelle's show back in the day. Remember they had the Play a Haters Ball?
Yes.
See if you can pull that up, Malik. That what a classic thing.
Legendary.
I do agree with you. I try not to say hate.
Yeah.
I say I don't like what they're doing. Not a fan. Not a fan. Not a fan. But hate is a strong word.
Well,
but
we should hate
It's good to have haters.
Yeah.
Should hate what?
We should hate evil, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, I try not to consume myself with hate, or like, I just try to put a positive thing, and if something, I try not to surround myself with negativity. But it's in the world, and we have to stand up against it.
Your enemies will find you, whether you want to be found or not. Especially if you're a celebrity, especially if you're an influencer, if you're a personality, you get a lot of eyeballs. Haters are actually a good thing. Now you don't want everyone to hate you. You want a good exchange.
No, there's a good quote. They say it in basketball, like they only address the player who has the ball in their hand. You know, they're not going to talk about the bench warmer, but they talk about the stars. Like LeBron James probably gets more hate than anyone else. Isn't that
Yes.
ironic?
For sure.
It's also like really valuable to be hated by people who are like dabbling in evil specifically, right?
Right.
Like if a bunch of your haters are like keep on proving themselves to be like some of the worst people ever for character, that's probably not a bad thing. If they dislike you, it means you're probably standing up against something not good.
Yeah.
Maybe
I would agree.
evil.
Malik, you have that image?
Yep.
Yeah, here's the Play a Haters Ball. Shout out to Dave Chappelle. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Play a Haters Ball. That was great. So here's what I'll tell you with this. I'll go to you first. Who do you hate? Who are your haters?
Who do I hate?
Because
or
you're a
who are
very
my
liberal
haters?
person, I want to say.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, on the
proud.
on internet land, I would be like barely moderate, maybe conservative at this point. But in normal people, they would probably call me a progressive. So
What does that term mean?
you know, that's a good question.
I don't even know
great
any of these
question.
terms mean. Like,
Enlighten my friend.
like I pay my taxes,
Yeah.
but what you want to do in your personal life, go for it.
Yeah, so I guess I can outline my values. I tend to care a lot about seeing people who I think are disenfranchised, who fall through the cracks, mentally ill people, veterans, all sorts of like kind of minority populations that have had struggles and obstacles. I like to help them. I like to see a society that does some level of safety net to help them. But I also fundamentally believe in things like liberty and freedom. I'm very liberal. So progressive typically means like advocating for like the vulnerable populations. That's typically, but what progressive means nowadays is not necessarily like.
So even the term progressive has changed over the last few years.
Oh, for sure. I mean, so many people now when I'm like, yeah, I'm progressive, I see like normal people have like reactions and like, oh, so you must be like really into like communism. And I'm like, no, like, no, I'm a staunch
Well, a lot of
capitalist.
terms have sort of been
Migrated and
you know,
moved, yeah.
liberal used to be a good thing. You stand up for liberal values. You know,
Right.
the greatest countries in the world are liberal democracies, right? Everything in the EU, United States, Australia, Canada, South Korea, liberal democracies. But the word liberal has sort of been
was a
hijacked.
good-
What was that?
That was a good definition.
Yeah,
you
that's a
had.
beautiful
Progressives
thing.
were interested in establishing a more transparent and accountable government which would work to improve U.S. society.
That sounds
That sounds
great.
Yeah.
I think we
like-
could probably all agree on
I
that,
feel like
right?
the issue is that you're forced in this country or many countries, left or right. And like there's a huge gray area in between that not enough people are identifying with. Like I wish Bobby Kennedy, and I don't know if you're actually related to him or not, but like I really like him as a person.
You know, if
I
you-
wish he had more of a microphone to like normalize the Libertarian Party, because we're broken from like the root. The problem is you're left or you're right. But what if I believe in both? Where does that leave me? What if I have some liberal values and some conservative values? And they don't make a space for that. So that's why we're so divided. It's this or that, and it's not even our own fault. I think
So-
there's
There's
to
more
some
people
extent.
that
I
are
think
in
what
the
you're
gray
talking about
area.
is not everything is black and white. One of the things I often say, especially on PBD podcast, is find the gray. Find the gray area. Find the gray zone. Like, for instance, I'm more of a classic liberal. I would be like a JFK, your family's JFK Democrat.
you're
I would be a
dirty
Republican
conservative
these days.
now, yeah.
I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative these days.
Yeah.
But sometimes it takes some enlightenment to kind of go through that. Progressive progress. What's wrong with progress? And I'm a capitalist. I believe in capitalism, but I also believe in having somewhat of a social safety net. It's called Social Security, guys. Look into it. You're paying for it. So that's who. So who do you hate exactly?
I would say my hatred is probably definitely left to interpersonal stuff. It's really hard to hate groups, and I think it's unwise to hate groups. It's like that's like the root of like so many problems. Like I just hate all black people, which is going to get clipped terribly now that
Oh,
I've said
Jesus.
that, right? That's
By the way, black people out there, we love you.
We
Don't
love
listen
you.
to this girl
We
out
love
there. We
black
love you.
people.
Malik,
Oh my God, he's like your
love you, bro.
You're the guy that's like, I'm not racist. Malik is my friend.
That's right.
just to finish that statement though, so
I
that
have
I'm not
one
left
black
saying
friend
I hate black
engineer.
people.
Malik doesn't even work here. I just want to prove that I have black friends, and I just give him a seat over there. He's not even pulling anything up.
In my defense, my
So
husband's
you're
Jamaican.
pandering
Okay.
now.
Pandering, exactly.
Wow.
Amy, you
Just
came
like
from
a liberal.
Australia. Other than kangaroos, who's your enemy? Who do you hate? Who hates you?
I would agree with both of you in the sense that like hate is a pretty destructive emotion. It's not something you necessarily want to consume yourself with on a day in and day out basis, although it's pretty easy to do nowadays, I would say,
Yes.
looking around at things. I think for me, I've always lived by the philosophy when it comes to like interpersonal relationships, seek first to understand and then be understood. It's very, very easy to put hate and blame on people when you are unwilling to kind of get out of your own echo chamber and mode of thinking, And so for me, when I consider, my personal relationships and everything like that, there isn't really anybody that I hate, because I understand that even if somebody does something that is in complete disalignment with my values and my beliefs, at the end of the day, it comes back to programming or their brain. It's just their disposition that they were born with, nature versus nurture, right? So either they're born with certain things, or oftentimes they're subject to their environment. I think it's an exceedingly rare case where somebody is just a totally evil human being, regardless of any external influences or regardless of their, physical predisposition. So I don't hate anybody on an individual level, but when it comes to concepts and ideas, it's kind of opposite to what you said. Interestingly, I hate the woke mind virus. I hate
The what?
the woke mind virus. Sorry,
woke. I thought you
it's
said
my
white.
accent.
And I'm
I
like,
said
aren't you
woke.
white?
I said
Accent.
White people.
She's from Georgia.
We're getting the
Accent.
we're getting the
Georgia.
other.
She said,
Yeah.
she said woke mind virus. Some people
mind
might have thought she
virus.
said
Right.
the work mind
Yeah.
virus. No, we encourage you to work and earn and pay your taxes.
Sorry, that's just my accent.
Woke.
But yeah, no, communism, these are all the things that I hate, which then perpetuate and create environments where the people that we would hate, that are typically against us, tend to be created. Like that's what they're born out of, So I choose to put the blame on that versus the individual.
I hear that.
Natalia
me
Del
sleep better at
Valle,
night, too.
yeah, you're a lover. You're not a fighter.
Yes.
So I know this is a pretty difficult decision for you to make, but there's a lot of Nats in the chat right now
We
for
love you.
Who are your haters? Who do you hate? Who's your enemy?
Yeah, I try not to even keep that word in my vocabulary because it keeps you in the mindset of that. It's not even so much hate. I think, maybe strongly dislike. I think it's more so just disliking, people who have hate in their heart, you know, who want to come and they want to hurt others, you know, people who have jealousy in their heart, people who, you know, are struggling in certain areas and they push that on people. So I wouldn't say I hate anybody. I may dislike certain things that people do, certain things that people believe. But at the end of the day, you know, I go to church, and that's a place where, you know, hate is not welcome. It's a place where you have to learn to love the people who hate you. And it's a challenge, it's a struggle, but I think it's very important that people don't have hate in your heart. But yeah, for me, hate, I don't really hate anybody.
Love thy neighbor.
Yeah, love your neighbor, but you can disagree with your neighbor. Don't get me wrong. You can strongly disagree with your neighbor, but I wouldn't say hate is something that I hate anyone.
Okay.
I'm sure
Well-
people hate me, I'm sure, but you know, that's
I
pertaining
agree
to
that
them.
hate is not exactly a term that I run around using.
Yeah.
But I do agree with the great Patrick Bet-David. You do need to choose your enemies wisely. I'll tell you this. The number one thing you can be is loved. The number two thing you can be is hated. The third thing on this list, the bottom of the list, is irrelevant. I'd rather, like, if you look at someone like Jake Paul, how many people hated Jake Paul? But that dude is laughing his way to the bank. And especially if you win, when you have the spotlight on you and you win and you can prove the haters wrong, you know, they say, let the haters be your motivators. Every level that you get to, you need to find a new enemy. Your enemy that was last year is probably not going to be your enemy next year. You need to be improving, dare I say, progressing, and finding a new enemy. So for me, I'm very clear on my enemies. I hate extremists, like anything that's extreme, whether that's ideology. I have an extreme producer over here that's like, what? Anything that's extreme, that there's zero room for interpretation, there's zero room for compromise, there's zero room for disagreement or agreement. No, this is the way. I hate you, bro. And on the left, on the left side of things, if you will, sloppiness. Anything,
you're not
whether
gonna
you're
like me.
sloppy with how you look, how you dress, how you act, with your finances, how you treat people, sloppiness. Like, it's not just like, I've told the story where I went to a girl's car one time. I get in the car, I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
what happened here? She's like, no, I just cleaned up. I'm like, you sloppy, bitch. Like, it's not good. So sloppiness
So you're
is the
saying I
exact
should
opposite
shave.
of extreme.
So I should shave a little
But
bit.
you're good looking. Don't
All
worry
right,
about
I'll
that.
try.
I would not say you're sloppy.
I'll get a haircut.
Now, Jamie, if
I
you
just
were
drove 4
if you're
hours.
400 pounds and you were broke, yet you're commenting on how everyone should be improving their life.
Got it.
The hardest thing to do is look
And
in the
you're a
mirror and be like,
hypocrite.
you're fat, you're ugly, you're disgusting, you're broke, you have no values, you have no morals, but all you do is spew hatred towards others. Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
You know,
anyway,
to some
But you-
extent, I'd argue like your haters, and I feel this way especially online, are still your fans in a way. And I don't mean it from like an arrogant perspective.
are.
But hate, we all agreed, is a very strong word. Now think about this. Like, if you're a total stranger to me and you don't know me personally, you've never met me, you're still going to my Instagram and you're commenting something, I'm living in your mind rent free.
Yep.
Yes.
And to some extent, you're kind of my fan. Like, I have one guy who doesn't follow me, complete burner account that will never miss a story or a post to hate on. You are my number one fan, sir, whether you
sure.
acknowledge that or not. So it's like,
and half
kind
the
of
time,
flattering.
and you can probably agree with this, a lot of the biggest haters, they're on private, they've got
No
4
profile pic.
followers, they've got no profile picture, they're just there to hate. A lot of these people are just so unhappy with their own lives that they just be hating on you, Jamie.
Yeah, but the worst type of hating people is the people who are in your face and they pretend to love you. Those people.
Those are called backstabbers.
No, but those people, they
Snakes.
operate in
Snakes.
jealousy. Jealousy is something
Yeah.
I can never accept from anybody. A sense of jealousy, somebody who is, you know, I try to be very giving and understanding. So to have someone be jealous when I'm trying to help them be better, that is very unsettled for me. And you'll be surprised how many people walk in front of you day to day, they try and they help you, and they're actually just jealous of you.
That's why I
So-
don't trust anyone.
Yes.
Because even if
But
they're nice to your face,
and you have
they-
internet
you
people
know.
who are hidden, but those people don't really affect you. Like
Right.
they don't bother you.
So
the people
irrelevant.
that bother you are the people who are jealous in your face and you think they support you, and then you find out they actually hate you internally, because jealousy comes from hate. And so when you have those two combined together and you're thinking, oh, you're my friend, but you're actually operating out of jealousy, that's to me, that's a sense of like evilness.
Well, in the Torah, it says jealousy leads to hatred, which is why jealousy is a sin.
Yes,
Like it's inevitable. If you're
Emily's
jealous of someone,
busting
you
out
hate
the
them.
biblical
I was on
prophecies.
Torahable, baby.
That's right there. Well, one of the things we say around here on Valuetainment is outwork, out-improve, out-strategize, outlast. And there's a famous quote out there: work so hard until your haters ask you for a job. So if you're out there and you're working your ass off and doing your thing, it's good to have haters, because eventually they're going to ask you what your secret is. Anyway, Jamie Kennedy, thank you for inspiring this segment called Don't Be Hating.
Wow.
Do it again. Do the sound again.
Hey, don't be hating.
Boom.
We're gonna
Clip
add that to the soundboard.
Don't-
Whoa. If you like that one, click right here to watch the full Sawscast. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.